There are two topics I want to go through in today's video, and both of them are extremely annoying. The first thing is that tomorrow we start back with a Ritiro. In 30 days, Juve Parma. In 40 days, it's over with the Calcio Mercato. And on the 23rd of July, looks like Juventus did absolutely nothing except of going on a free transfer like Jonathan David. And at the moment, it's extremely difficult. Look, I am absolutely scared because I don't know how Damien Comolli will go out of a real situation. A real situation that is really scaring me. Because we like it or we don't like it, there is a reason why Juventus is inactive, and that will be the first topic of today's video. The second one is a few seconds ago, because I needed to restart the recording. Well, it is official according to Fabrizio Romano. Here we go, a swap deal from Porto to Juve, from Juve to Porto, swap deal between Joao Mario and between Alberto Costa. You know that I am not the biggest fan of Alberto Costa, especially tactically, especially defensively, but going with Joao Mario, at the moment, I have a lot of questions, things that are absolutely not convincing me. So, Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel, I hope you're all doing well. We start speaking about Porto because yesterday it was official. Francisco Conceição is a Juve player, officially contract signed until 2030. He wanted to go to Juve, he is a Juve player. I know that a lot of Juventini will be extremely happy about that. We already spoke a lot about Francisco Conceição, so let's move on to the other official news. Is that we have an extra friendly 1 week before the official game Juve Parma, so that means that Juventus will play 6 games in the month of August. But let's go back to the actuality, towards Damien Comolli. 40 days with a huge big job. We know it, there is a situation Dusan Vlahovic that is blocking, but not only. Let's not blame only Dusan Vlahovic. The job that we are in is extremely difficult, that Damien Comolli will have to do is extremely difficult, because it's true, looks like we have absolutely done nothing except of Jonathan David, but there is a reason why. It's because, yes, on paper, Jonathan David is there. We can even now say Francisco Conceição, that has been signed permanently, but Juventus did much more than that. And not really Damien Comolli, but Juventus as a club. Because if we are believing, and it's true because there are double-checked facts, Juventus already spent 110 million. If you are looking at this season, 25-26, you will tell me, Beppe, where are these players? Who are these players? Well, if we go really soon, really fast through the players, Di Gregorio, that we actually paid 4.5 million euro to Monza last season, well, to make him permanently, well, 13.5 are already paid also to Monza to make a 20 million euro deal for Di Gregorio. 13.5 already in the books of this season. Nico Gonzalez, 8 were already paid to Fiorentina. Well, to have the player, you were obliged to go with an obligation to buy at 25. So 25 million euro that you need to add to the ones of Di Gregorio. Conceição, 8, because we found that formula of 32 paid in 4 times. So 8 needs to be paid to Porto. For Kelly, 14.5 on top of the 3 that we already paid. For Kalulu, to make him permanent, 14.3 for Jonathan David, because you are actually signing him for 12 million euro, but you actually made it over a few years. It's 4 million euro that you need to anticipate immediately. That brings us at 80 million euro from Juventus already spent. If you're adding it up with already what we have spent for these players, we go towards 110 million euro, more or less, which is a lot. And this is why Juventus is actually not that active, apparently. Why Juventus is obliged to do other things first, priorities first, before really going on new players. It's an extremely annoying situation. You will tell me, Beppe, are we so poor? We are missing so much liquidity. It's not that much the problem. The problem is that we have UEFA parameters, UEFA rules, UEFA fair play rules that we need to respect. So it's not that there is not a lot of money, it's that at the moment the team is really built in a way that is not efficient, a team that is underperforming, like we saw with players like Douglas Luiz, co-miners, Nico Gonzalez, Dusan Vlahovic, for example, that are actually waiting a lot on the books of Juventus Football Club. And the problem is that we don't have the same revenues as Premier League. Why am I speaking about revenues? Because we know it had to be in order to respect the UEFA parameters. We are obliged to follow one rule: wages of the players plus the amortization, depreciation, needs to be smaller or equal to 70% of your revenues. So if you are not able to have more revenues from sponsors, from TV broadcast, etc., etc., well, that means that you need to pay attention to the wages and also to the depreciation of the player. Depreciation is how much they are still costing, how much you still need to repay for these players. And at the moment, well, we have a lot of players. We have 32 players in our team at the moment, and these players count also Thiago Jallo, count Arthur, count all the players that we already said that are underperforming at the moment. Well, it's actually making it extremely limiting, and we have absolutely no certainties that these players are leaving. Nico Gonzalez, it's true, is out of the project. It's true that there are teams interested in him, like for example an Atletico Madrid, like Inter, in case Lookman is not. Maybe an Atalanta, maybe we are speaking about Saudi Arabia that will try to come back, but until the player is saying yes, we have a problem. Miretti could leave Juventus. He could, because that's only profit. You are freeing up also a player. But the problem is that do we really want to give him to Napoli? And what they want to spend for him? Juventus is asking for something between 20-30. At the moment, Napoli is considering a 10-15 million euro. And that's why things are slowing down. Rugani that says no to Genoa and Sassuolo. I'm happy because I want to keep Rugani. But we have a lot of problems like Dusan Vlahovic, where we found an agreement to pay him even 10 million euro for an exit bonus. But the problem is that nobody is going for 25 million euro to pay the players, so that we are not in minus valenza. Not a single team is at the moment paying 25 million euro to Juventus for the player, and this is a big, huge problem. The only team that wanted to do it, for example, a Fenerbahce that was thinking about it, well, Vlahovic is saying no. So we have a lot of problems, and that is blocking a lot. Like, for example, the fact that we cannot go for a player like Kolo Muani, because if Paris Saint-Germain a few months ago, they were even open to discuss another loan, well, this time they can't. They don't want, because they also have other offers for Kolo Muani that are coming from Premier League, like, for example, Chelsea or other teams, which makes it extremely difficult now for Juventus to go in asking for a new loan. And this is why Juventus is on players in that list of strikers like Højlund, like Nunes, like Gonzalo Ramos. 3 players that are not A plans in their team. Gonzalo Ramos is not the starter. Nunes, Liverpool wants to get rid of him, especially after signing Ekitike. Højlund is absolutely not performing at Manchester United. They want to get rid of him. And that's where Juventus at the moment can play in. Not that these are the real targets of Juve, not that these are the players that Juventus want, but they are looking for opportunities like players that we can potentially have on loan with an option, maybe with an obligation if certain targets are reached. The plan that we are actually had for Kolo Muani, that at the moment Paris Saint-Germain is pushing away. And that's why Juventus is going there. So again, I repeat you, it's not that Juventus do not have the liquidities. We have some money, but for respecting the UEFA parameters, well, we need to pay attention, because the revenues are not the one of Premier League, and that will be more and more difficult. And if I'm reading actually the title of Tutto Sport today, Tutto Sport is saying Joao Mario non costa. Joao Mario doesn't cost you a thing, playing with the world Alberto Costa, and also Costa cost you a thing. Well, then you start understanding why it is a done deal, why it is a here we go. Because looking at the details, according to Fabrizio, the swap will happen because it's a here we go. And what will happen? Alberto Costa is valued from Juve 15 million plus 1 million add-on, so 16 million euro, while Joao Mario is costing you 12 million euro. So Juventus will have a 3 million immediately plus a 1 million add-on, making a plusvalenza for the player for, I don't know how much, 3, 4, 5 million euro plus valenza for Alberto Costa, which is not a lot, which is absolutely not a lot. I don't understand the swap deal, because I told you I'm not a big fan of Alberto Costa tactically and defensively. If I'm looking at Joao Mario, what do I see? Fantastic in carrying the ball, fantastic in crosses. I'm not sure if the crosses is what Jonathan David needs with his 178 centimeters. Fantastic in expected assists, in progressive passes, but is absolutely absent if you are looking at possession won, if you are looking at aerial percentage of duels won, in defensive duels won is absolutely absent. So it's a player that is thinking only offensively, something that he can do in the Portuguese league, something that he can do at Porto. Is it something that he can do at Juve? In Serie A, I highly doubt about it, especially if you are looking that we are sending away a player that is, as we speak, 21 years old until September, and we are taking in a player that is 25 until January. So we are speaking about 4 years of difference. 25 is not old, but we are looking at a player that at 25, nearly 26, Porto is giving away. Porto is giving away. And if we know that the player from 25, 26 was still there in Porto and not a lot of clubs were on him, or not a big club already went for talents from Porto, Benfica, Sporting, it means that we are not speaking about a huge, big international player. We are not speaking about an appealing player. We are not speaking about a top talent, a phenomenon, someone that can grow. Like, for example, potentially an Alberto Costa that just came to the football world first team that I'm not a big fan of, but we see clearly that he has a progression margin. Do we have a progression margin for Joao Mario? I highly doubt it. I am not sure about it. So at the moment, I'm really curious. I tell you the truth, it's not a player that I watched a lot of time. The games that I watched from Porto, to be totally honest with you, it's not a player that caught my eye. So what I did was actually trying to go on internet, and Colpogo did already the work for me, Italian streamer, Italian YouTuber, that went and looked into the forums of Porto fans, how they were speaking about Joao Mario. What are they saying? Well, we took 3 comments out of there. The first one comes from Miguel Deco, fan of Porto, that is saying, "This man is taking away more years of my life than my wife." Not a beautiful comment. The second one from Dexter 2020 that is saying, "I am embarrassed every single time that this kid is actually putting our shirt on." The third one that is a bit less harsh, let's say, in terms of words, but actually even more scarier. It's from Drago Tigre that is writing, "Without intelligence, without physique, constantly out of position. It's one that is not even at the level of being on the bench of Porto." So the comments of the Porto fans are not really that great. So that's what I'm asking. Why are we doing it? Why are we doing it? And one of the only reasons is, again, from the first title of today, Tuttosport, Joao Mario, non costa. Joao Mario is not costing a lot of money. Look, I wanted to speak about Molina. I wanted to speak about Jonathan Klose. I wanted to speak about Dodo. But if we are already going with a "here we go" that arrived after me preparing all the other players, well, it makes totally no sense. So what can I tell you? That if we are comparing it with Cambiaso, with Molina, with Nuno Tavares, what do we see? That Nuno Tavares and Joao Mario are really close to each other in terms of data MB, stats and percentiles. That's what we can see, but extremely offensive players. Defensively, not really. So I'm really curious, really curious what we saw in the player and if he will be able to convince me that he is the right solution. Again, I tell you, I'm not crying about Alberto Costa leaving. You know it. I was not the biggest fan of Alberto Costa on a football way of doing. But on the other side, going for Joao Mario, I am not sure. There were some players that could potentially have been more attractive than that. I don't know, guys. If you are from Portugal, if you watch Portuguese league, if you know the player really well, please let me know, because I need someone to convince me. Then you know it. From the moment that he will be a Juve player, I will support him as much as I can. But at the moment, today it's a bit difficult for me. If you didn't yet, please put a maximum of like. Don't forget to subscribe. Grazie, forza, Juve.